Hello, everyone, and welcome to the den. Yeah, we're looking dapper today. Why? Because it fits today's episode. This was an episode I really wasn't expecting. After all, with a title like Shall We Gundam, I don't expect it to be a fancy party slash business guy association get together thing. Because that's what it was. We didn't have any action or anything bombastic, but we did get some important stuff that's definitely moving the story forward, and a lot of little character moments that I did enjoy. So let's get started with a synopsis. Essentially, while gardening with Miorine, Suletta is sent an invitation to a party, and she of course says yes, because she hasn't seen Elon in several days and wants to see Elon again. Because, that whole conversation thing they had and the connection they had and all the questions she has. Miorine, of course, is completely against this because she sees it as just an excuse for people of the three houses to get together and schmooze and talk business, which has nothing to do with her plan of escaping from the school and getting to Earth. But Suletta wants to see Elon again because she hasn't seen him since he disappeared from the school. Moving on to the dance, we get to see Suletta and Miorine in super fancy clothing. I get the feeling we're going to see several cosplays of this set, even though I doubt they'll ever wear these outfits again for the rest of the series. Nika also comes along. She doesn't have that many lines of dialogue. And as a side note to this, we did get a week off between episodes 6 and 7, and that was because of health concerns with the actress playing Nika, which is unfortunate because she's one of my favorite characters thus far, because I like the kind of manipulative but super kind. There's something else going on with her. She has a really interesting backstory, and we just haven't gotten to it yet. And she's super cute. But that being said, she's really just wearing her uniform with like a corsage, and you're like, okay. I mean, I don't expect her to have a ball gown kind of thing. The Earth dorm doesn't seem like it's the dorm with people who have ball gowns. It seems like the people who had to have their family and their family's friends crowdfund their arrival to the school. As we go to the party, we see a few familiar faces. Shattuck comes out and has a little conversation with Miorine and Suletta, and implies that he and Miorine were close at a certain point, but Miorine's time with Suletta has caused her to change. And from Shattuck's point of view, he doesn't seem to consider it for the better. At least that seems to be the implication I got from watching the episode. At the same time, he was very polite and kind of implying that Miorine actually putting her efforts to help someone else is really out of character for her. And honestly, Miorine, to this point in the series, has just been kind of a selfish character. And even in this episode, she is still technically a selfish character, even if she does try to help Suletta at the end of this episode. That being said, it's interesting because Shattuck seems to be kind of keeping his eye on Suletta and seems to be just kind of in the periphery right now, but we know from a previous episode that he was told, watch over her, see how this plays out. So we know that him and his house has something bigger planned, we just haven't seen it executed yet. At the party, we also see Lady Prospera, and she finally gets to have a conversation with Miorine after sending Suletta off to get her a drink, and basically starts asking Miorine about her actual feelings for her father and about what her real plans are and how she actually feels. I get the feeling this is another part of Prospera's manipulations, and I think it actually did pay off at the end of this episode with the way Miorine behaves. Then we get the big surprise. Elon shows up. But of course, he's actually the real one, not the clone, because the clone's dead. Spoiler for the last episode. If you're keeping up with me, hopefully you've seen it. He acts very polite and kind and calm with Suletta. And you're wondering why, because he could just destroy her right now if he wanted to, but he's choosing not to. And you're trying to wonder what that is. And of course, he does have plans of his own, which I will save for the spoiler section. But overall, the episode was pretty good. It's definitely setting some new stuff up. It's putting us into the next phase of the story. And I'm very curious to see where things go from here on out, because there's definitely some implications about choices made at this stage. As for characters, the first person we have to talk about, of course, is Miorine. Not only do we get some insight into who she was before meeting Suletta from Shattuck, which, as I said earlier, doesn't seem to be off in terms of her as a character. She is very selfish. She's very just yells and just expects everyone to do things for her. As much as she has those moments of rebellion against her father, she's still a very selfish person. In fact, as far as I can tell, her reasons for escaping to Earth are probably also selfish reasons. They probably have something to do with her mother and getting away from her dad, but this feels more like a teenage girl having a temper tantrum than it really feels like an actual threat against the Bennett group. In addition to that, most of the time she's telling Suletta not to do stuff, and even throughout this episode is yelling at her to stand up straight. Because you're at a fancy ball thing, you really should have good posture. We also get some time with Lady Prospera. Not only do we see her probing Miorine for information, we see her kind of pushing Suletta away to let Suletta do her own thing, and even gets distracted when Suletta is going to go up on stage. Part of that distraction was getting a new offer from the Jaturk company, which we, of course, don't get to see because they love hiding little pieces of information like that. So we'll see how that turns out, but I think it's going to change because of the events of the end of this episode anyways. Beyond that, there's not a lot of characters we got to really go in depth on in this one. And this is another time where Suletta feels like a minor character in her own story, which is kind of weird how that seems to happen a lot. Aesthetically, not much I can add here. I do really like Miorine and Suletta's fancy dress variants. They're very pretty, and Suletta's dress kind of reminds me of Orihime's dress from Sakura Wars. Yeah, that's a little weird. I don't know if it's supposed to be a reference because they do have similar surnames. Everyone else is not really seen in anything we haven't already seen them in before, fancy suits and what have you. It would have been nice to get Nika in a fancy outfit, but hey, what you gonna do? It was an okay episode. There's things I liked, sure. I very much enjoyed the fancy outfits, the political intrigue, but when it comes down to it, it was a rather boring episode. Even my notes aren't particularly heavy as they usually are, where I have to talk about aspects of the battle and, oh, we learned this and that and revelations, and it's just like, we're setting things up. It's a setup episode. You need these. They're a little less flashy than your excitement episodes, as we can tell from how they did things like, say, in episode 2 that really sets the stage for 3 and 4, moving into like 5 and 6. Obviously, this will have a payoff that'll last for 2 or 3 episodes as well, and obviously have long-ranging impact that could change the course of the story as a whole. Like I said, mediocre episode, but a very important episode, if that makes any sense. That's enough for the opening waltz. Let's go to the spoiler cha-cha. Or, wait, there's a character named Cha-Cha. That doesn't work. Duh! Only I knew more than 2 dances. That's so dumb. Stupid jokes aside, we don't have a lot to really talk about in the spoiler discussion. First thing I need to bring up is House Jaturk. Yeah, they tried to set up this whole trap thing I'll get to in a little bit, but they also tried to offer a new deal to Lady Prospera. While part of me believes this is solely just to distract her so they can target Suletta and the Ariel, I also think there might be something else that they were planning alongside Lady Prospera as well. It's hard to say. In addition to that, we also get a slight moment with Yule's brother seeing Suletta be derpy and just be like, ugh, how could my brother have a thing for her? I would like to get to know more about him. Otherwise, the only big spoiler we really have to talk about is the trap at the end of the episode, where real Ilan convinces Suletta to come up, give your speech like you're supposed to give, you're the holder after all. And it just sets her up to have it revealed that, yes, the Ariel is a Gundam, which we already knew because of the advertising, and it's a Gundam series. Why would the main character's unit not be a Gundam? Yes, I know there are a few Gundam stories where the main character's unit's not a Gundam. Yeah. We know it's a Gundam. Now, Suletta knows it's a Gundam. Oh, it's a Gundam. Yeah, not a lot you could really say there. Just, I thought it was interesting. But more importantly, the Pell Corporation is trying to set up a trap where they can just say, yeah, we're throwing away the Faract, and we're going to stop this program. They're still keeping their Super Soldier program. They're just going to stop the Gundam research. And you know what? Shinsei Corporation should also dispose of their stuff because legally they have to. But decisions made at this party could probably then be argued at a later time by Prospera. So I don't know entirely what the full hope was here. Maybe Prospera would just be like distracted enough that they would destroy the unit before she noticed. And then Miorine comes up and basically creates the Gund Arm Incorporated. Because of course she does. And being in the business side of things, it makes sense that this would be her solution. Well, what if we just took all this Gundam knowledge and made a company built around it, and we dealt with the bioethical issues, and we built machines that could help protect humanity instead of killing the pilots. And then through some manipulations, she's able to actually succeed at getting the company funded. She got her Kickstarter done in one day. Good on you, Miorine. Very few people can achieve that. So after achieving her Indiegogo, we're going to have to see what happens here with her company, because she's still a teenager. And I don't know how many people from the Pell Corporation and Shinsei are going to be squeezed into their new corporation and where they're going to run that and all the logistics issues. But they got the money, so, that's cool. Good luck with that. But it was interesting to see how they tried to manipulate things, try to set up a trap. And let's admit one thing here. Lady Prospera is many things, but she is not an idiot. She probably knew that the Turks were trying to distract her. She was probably paying attention to what was going on inside. And had things with Miorine not worked out the way they needed to, she probably would have stepped up and done something. But I feel like a lot of this on Prospera's end was, let's just test Miorine's character. Will you come and save my daughter if she's in trouble? Answer, yes, she will. Lady Prospera can use that information. Not only that, but she also revealed to Suletta, yes, it's a Gundam, and also used the phrase, my two daughters, once again. In addition to that, we have the characters pointing out that it's been 21 years since the attack that destroyed their facility, which again means Suletta is not the first daughter of Lady Prospera, which means the fan theory is that Eri is the core of the Ariel is probably true, because otherwise we have no idea where Eri is. She has not been referenced or anything, unless we're supposed to assume that it's incredibly coincidental that Prospera and Suletta look like Eri and her mother. Weirder things have happened in Gundam, but I'm leaning towards that clone theory. But man, do I really want to know what happened in those intervening 4 years. I'm assuming that's going to become a manga, or we'll get a flashback in the anime, possibly both. Could also see them doing it as a novel, but it'd really be good to see those years of what happened to Eri. And I think we're going to see Cradle Star in a very different light once we get a little bit more information about what occurred after Prologue and before Cradle Star. Beyond that, there's not much else I can really say. There's not a lot of theories I can bring up. Even the next episode title doesn't really make me go, oh, that could mean... it doesn't mean much. But again, we're starting kind of a new arc here with this party. We've now had real Elon meet Suletta, and it'll be interesting to see where things go with the Gundam Incorporated. I keep calling it the Gundam Incorporated. I guess it's just Gundam Incorporated. Oh, whatever. I'll fix that in post. No, I won't. Anyhow, thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode in the comments below. And until next time, I'm the Dapper Bard, and I'll see you at the tavern.